Hi everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Smoke Signals. I'm Matt Montgomery along with head football coach Wayne Coleman. Fighting Indians kick off District 17 5A play this week at the TOLEDO Bowl. The Corsicana Tigers are coming into town. Coach, you finished up your non-district slate a couple of weeks ago. 3-2 record. We'll talk about some statistics and some things, but pretty successful non-district slate, I would say. A couple of things maybe you'd like back, I'm sure, but your overall impressions of how you think your team came through non-district.
It felt like we learned a lot. It felt like we progressed in some phases of the game where we were struggling. Each week it seemed like we improved on our weaknesses, so that's always a good feeling, and to come out of it with a winning record makes you feel even better.
You know, statistically, and I have gobs of stats here, but I just kind of want to hit some of the highlights. And you know, stats are stats, and you can kind of sometimes you can make them say what you want them to say. But there are some things that really stand out that I know that you're pleased with as a head coach. Number one, your offense is doing, I think, what you want them to do. They're averaging over 400 yards a ball game, 417 to be exact, through 5 ball games. Pretty good numbers right there.
It is. They have gotten used to the system. We're running the same system we ran last year with them. And you can tell we've got kids that have come back, you know, returning quarterback, returning running back, receivers, some offensive line. We've got a lot of kids that played ball for us last year, and they're doing a good job of executing.
Now, of course, everybody knows, you know, Cam High with all the yards rushing this year. And last year he had over 1,500 yards, and he's going to eclipse that, obviously, if he continues the current track that he's on. And people say, well, you know, Jacksonville's not throwing the ball much. I mean, I'm looking at the stats, and basically nearly 80% of the offense is coming on the ground. But that's the way your offense works, isn't it? I mean, you take what the defense gives you. Yeah,
you're going to have to. I mean, you've got to get good at something, and not very many teams can have a perfect balance of 50-50. It's hard to do that, especially in high school. But you have to take what your strength is and develop it, and then off of that you have to be able to hit big pass plays. And we're not throwing the ball a lot, but our potential for hitting the big play has gone up quite a bit this year.
And I think, to me, what I'm seeing, at least for the first 5 ball games, number one, strong offensive line, really doing a good job. Cam's doing a great job of reading on the zone read. And you've got 3 backs that you can put in there in the backfield that have done a great job.
Yeah, those guys are doing a great job rotating in and out. And what it allows us to do is allows us to play those kids on defense. When you've got just one go-to tailback, that kid, you really can't afford to put him on the defensive side of the ball. But because we're rotating 3 guys at tailback, we can get those guys some playing time on the defensive side, which is what we need to have the ability to do, play kids both ways.
Another offensive stat that really jumped out to me, Coach, is 3rd down and 4th down conversions. I mean, when you have a ball control running type offense, when you can convert that 3rd down, you're converting half of your 3rd down conversions and half of your 4th down conversions. Now compare that to the other team defensively. This speaks to your defense. The defense is only allowing your defense is only allowing the opponents to convert 1 out of 4 3rd down conversions. And you know, people don't think about that statistically that much, but to me that says more plays for your offense.
It does. You've got to get people off the field on 3rd down, and we have placed a little more emphasis this year on situational practice, and we do a lot of 3rd down drills in practice, and I think it's helped us on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and I mentioned defensively, really, I mean, 1 out of 4 conversions on 3rd down, really doing a nice job there. DeQuellen Thompson, the sophomore, is doing a nice job up front. Josh McDowell, Braden Horn's got 3 sacks from the secondary, which you don't see very often, but Kenny Kennedy's defensive coordinator, some of those calls have been pretty timely for your defense, and had some things maybe early on, but Coach, the last 2 or 3 ball games, the defense has really come on.
They have. They really have cleaned things up since the Palestine game. They've made some adjustments, and a lot of times people don't realize how much goes into in the planning on just getting your personnel in the right place. And we're still moving kids around. We think we're pretty close to being right where we want to be, but we've got the ability now to play, you know, 15 or 16 kids on each side of the ball that we feel real comfortable with.
And the turnover ratio in much more control than it was, I think, this time last year. You're -2, but a couple of those, you know, I mean, a couple of interceptions at the end of the half. That doesn't really count. So, I mean, from that standpoint, though, you're not turning the ball over as much as last year when kids were learning this new offense.
Yeah, we're not getting killed on the turnovers. Actually, we probably have more turnovers on special teams than we do on offense. And the only thing that you look at on that is you'd rather be on the positive side. So we need to turn it up a little bit on defense and focus on creating more turnovers.
Speaking of special teams, I guess if I had to pick out an area, and I know you would too, not just me picking it out, but that is an area that needs improvement and has improved, especially the last couple of ball games. But the first 3 ball games, I mean, I'm looking at average yards on returns for kickoffs, 25 yards. That kind of changes the position of the field. But you made some personnel changes and you kind of got some things straight, and special teams has improved a lot the last couple of games.
Yeah, I think if we took the stats and we just took them from the last 2 games, or even the last 3 games, the special team stats would look a lot better. We moved a lot of people around. We've got some new faces out there. Our coverage has gotten a lot better. And the game is, a lot of times it's mostly about personnel.
Yeah.
Once again, moving people around, getting them in the right places, and we've done that on our special teams as well. And I think it's worked out really well for us in the last few games.
And Coach, speaking to that, I mean, when you look at having 5 non-district games versus just having 3, those extra couple of ball games for non-district, now that Jacksonville's in a 6-team district, really helps a lot to get ready for district.
I can tell you this, last year we played Corsicana on the opening non-district game, which would have been, the opening district game, which would have been game 4 of the season, because we had 3 non-district games, and in that game alone, we fumbled a kickoff, which they recovered, and they ran a fake punt on us. We weren't lined up right on our punt return. And those are things that early in the season you're still getting those things worked out, and we're ready for those things now. We've come a long ways in special teams. We're ready. The 5 games in non-district have helped us out a lot.
And defensively, Coach, the last couple of ball games, to speak to that, is the tackling has been much better. Had a couple of breakdowns with Alvarado, but that was caused by Alvarado, I think. But much more improvement in that area technique-wise tackling.
There's no doubt. The better defense you play, regardless of the tackling, if you can shrink the tackle zone to where your fits, you've got runners boxed into small areas, you become a much better tackler. The better your defensive fit is, the better tackler your whole team becomes. And you see it a lot of time on Saturdays, on Sundays, people complain about a team's tackling. Well, a lot of those tackles they're missing are in giant open spaces that should not be happening. It's caused by somebody else on the defense fitting in the wrong place.
Good point. I mean, it's football is a game of position on the field, and you shrink that tackle box, it increases the probability of a tackle. So, all right, Coach, let's talk about Corsicana. You opened with them last year, and this year you opened with them again. This is a Corsicana Tiger team that has been kind of schizophrenic. I mean, early in the year, boy, everybody they were picked high, and they fulfilled those promises the first couple of ball games. But they've played some really good teams. I mean, Lancaster in the top 10. That's a solid team. They played 6A Robert E. Lee very well. Talk about Corsicana. What do they do well?
Really strong football team. They've got good depth. They've got great size. They've got a couple defensive linemen that are going to weigh in at 300 pounds apiece. It's going to be hard to run the ball inside on them. They have got a solid offensive scheme that they've been running for years now. They'll run some zone read like we do. They're going to be a real challenge for us. They've got a great program over there.
Yeah, they do. And the thing about Corsicana that we always see with them is how physically strong they are. I mean, they have the great athletes. Of course, Keyshawn Kelly has been their 3-year starting quarterback. Not sure who we'll see Friday night between him and the Hoffman young man, but either one of those guys is going to be tough to defend.
Yeah, they both run the offense really well. They can read your defensive ends. They can make the right reads. They can throw the football. They can run the football. They make it really hard to defend what they do.
We talk about this every week. Cameron High. I mean, how's Corsicana? If you're Corsicana, what do you do? I'm not asking you to give them advice on how to defend them. I'm sure they've looked at enough film for that. But we're getting closer and closer to the point, in my opinion, that we may have to see some of that passing game if some of these teams continue to try to load the box.
Sure, there's no doubt. We've got to be ready to hit the big pass play when they want to come up and play the run on Cam High. And we've done that in a couple earlier games with some success, and we're working on that hard this week. We're going to be ready to air it out if we need to.
And you have some playmakers out there. Devin Henry, he's caught a touchdown pass. Cameron Franklin's got a touchdown pass. William Garland, DeMontre Christopher. I mean, there's some guys that you can throw the ball to that can do some damage. You just haven't had to do that because of the success of the running game.
Yeah, it's a real struggle for us because we want to get everyone the football, because the kids come out and practice and work their tails off. So you want everybody to get the ball, but you have to do what's best for the team. Sometimes that means run. But we know the night's going to come when the other team's going to load the box and we're going to have to take advantage and hit some big play action passes.
Coach, a couple of games ago, I know that you guys made some defensive changes, especially up front. You weren't stunning as much and you were just mainly going just mano and mano, just going after it. Is that something that you think you can do against Corsicana, or with their size, do you think that you may have to do some different things up front like that?
No, I think we need to try to play our base defense as much as possible, because when we do that, it gives us an extra player on the second level. In the 3-4, you want to try to be able to control the inside gaps with your 3 down linemen as much as you can, and so you can keep 4 linebackers on the second level, especially when a team runs some read option like they do. You like to have that extra second level player. You
mentioned the size of their defensive line. What about their offensive line? Same thing? Are they going to look like Alvarado?
They've got a big team. They're a large 5A school. They got a lot of kids to choose from, and traditionally they've always got good size on the line.
Good thing for your team right now, Coach, is basically you're pretty healthy. I know you got the nicks and bruises and stuff, but at this point of the year, boy, it's nice to go into district play with a pretty healthy team.
It is, and it was nice to have open week to get some kids some rest on their legs. We've got the typical strains, slight muscle strains that you just want to have time to rest, and the open week hit us at the right time.
Corsicana coming to Tomato Bowl, I mean, you really, an advantage. A lot of people ask me all the time, does Jacksonville win more games at Tomato Bowl than they lose? And of course, they win more. And so I think that's important to have that first district game to get off on a good spot on your home field, defend your home turf, a place where Jacksonville's been so successful in the past.
Yeah, the Tomato Bowl is a special place. The kids love playing there, and I think it's real different for visitors to come and play there. So when those kids get off the bus from Corsicana, it's going to be a different atmosphere for them, something that's hopefully a little bit distracting, and our kids always look forward to playing there.
Keys to the game to get the win against Corsicana?
Yeah, I think keep the turnover battle, close. Because we do so much zone read, we know there's going to be an occasional turnover, but the rewards outweigh it, the sacrifice on that, and just doing our job on defense. Because, the same problems that people face with us defending the read option, now it's going to be flipped around on us to defend, and so we've really got to take care of our responsibilities, make sure we've got a guy on dive, a guy on quarterback, a guy on pitch, that kind of stuff. Well,
it's Jacksonville versus Corsicana at Tomato Bowl Friday night in the District 17 5A opener. We'll be on the air at 7 o'clock on 103.9 FM, and if you want to listen to us online, you can see the address right there on your screen. For head coach Wayne Coleman, I'm Matt Montgomery. We'll see you next time right here on Smoke Signals.